Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to March Mystery Madness on my channel. I realize it's awfully late in the month of March to be talking about the March Mystery Madness readathon, but you know, I've been struggling with my reading with all the things going on in the world, and one thing that I've found where I've been the most successful is in reading mystery, thriller things that are just completely distracting and, you know, written to be almost immediately immersive and engrossing. And that, you know, led me to think about who my favorite fictional detectives and crime solvers are. So I thought I'd make a real quick video about that on Thursday. So to begin with, I've been a fan of mysteries pretty much my whole life. My mystery love went from television to books and not the other way around. Primarily because when I was growing up, my parents were huge fans of any kind of detective show or lawyer show in which mysteries were solved. So, you know, I was raised on Cannon and Barnaby Jones and, Policewoman and Ellery Queen and, eventually, you know, Murder, She Wrote. What else was there? Perry Mason, Ironsides, Columbo, one of my favorites from a kid. And so when I was growing up, and once I had a little black and white TV in my own room, I naturally kind of gravitated towards mystery shows as well, and I watched the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes series on PBS Mystery, as well as the Poirot series starring David Suchet. As an adult, I just kept watching the same kinds of things, and I think I've mentioned before on my channel that I'm a big fan of the Wallander series that stars Kenneth Branagh. I really was a big fan of at least the first 3 seasons of Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. I thought those were great. I love the old Morse TV show starring John Thaw. I liked Robbie Coltrane as Cracker. My wife and I watch Endeavour, kind of the young Endeavour Morse. I've gotten into Grantchester, that series. One of my favorite series of all time was the Touching Evil series starring Robson Green. I thought that was just great, gritty British crime, oftentimes shockingly violent for the time period on TV in the 1990s. Love that. I love the An Unsuitable Job for a Woman series that was on PBS based on at least one book, I believe, by P.D. James, which had a young woman acting as the detective, as the crime solver, which I thought was great. And so all that led me to kind of want to talk about my favorite fictional detectives. And so that's really what this video is about, just my top 5 favorite fictional detectives or crime solvers. And it shouldn't surprise anybody that my number 1 is Sherlock Holmes. Recently, before all this stuff happened, when I was traveling and planning on traveling to watch my daughter's track meets, because track season started, I had found Sherlock Holmes stories on LibriVox, which I listened to driving back and forth, and I think I listened to, I don't know, 8 or 9 Sherlock Holmes stories on around March the 6th, March the 7th, and I was really just enchanted all over again with the original Arthur Conan Doyle stories and the original character. And one of the things I think that has happened with all the adaptations that have taken place of Sherlock Holmes over time that we see on film and on TV is that we have lost kind of the Victorian character of Sherlock Holmes and how proper and how, you know, how much he was a product of his time and, you know, followed Victorian morals and things like that to a large extent, and how much that shaped who he was. And this is why I think Jeremy Brett in the I think it's Grantna adaptation of a lot of the Sherlock Holmes stories is just the best Sherlock Holmes, because he is that, you know, he's everything I think Holmes is on the page, and therefore I think he's the best adaptation. My favorite Sherlock Holmes stories are The Sign of Four, let's see, The Musgrave Ritual, The Copper Beeches, and The Speckled Band. I have a tendency apparently to like my Sherlock Holmes outside of London itself. But those are my favorite Sherlock Holmes stories, and Holmes is, of course, my favorite fictional detective. My second favorite fictional detective is Adam Dalgleish. He is the creation of British crime writer P.D. James, and he had a long career. I think at least through the late 70s up through the late 90s. I can't remember how many Adam Dalgleish mysteries that there are. But he's my favorite in part because I think he's my second favorite in part because he's different from the other fictional detectives that I like so much. He's a London-based detective inspector. He's head of the Special Crimes Unit at one point in London, and he is not only an excellent detective using deductive reasoning, but he's also a poet. And he's a published poet, and therefore kind of taps into the sensitive side as well as kind of the crime-solving macho side. But having been, along with that sensitive side, there's a toughness, there's a bravery there as well. Oftentimes, I find that Dalgleish solves crimes by understanding people, and their motivations. And yeah, there's collecting evidence and deduction and stuff like that, but a lot of it is just through his contact and his ability to understand people and their motivations. My favorite Adam Dalgleish novels written by P.D. James are A Taste for Death, Devices and Desires, The Murder Room, the first, I believe, P.D. James novel featuring Adam Dalgleish was Cover Her Face. By the way, here are those books: A Taste for Death, Devices and Desires, The Murder Room. By the way, when they started publishing these hardback, when Vintage started publishing these paperback, books with these really great covers, that was really a great thing for me. And then I believe the first Adam Dalgleish novel was Cover Her Face. So if you wanted to get started at the beginning, I believe that's the first Dalgleish novel. I'll be honest with you, I don't worry a lot about reading detective novels in order because the character should remain the same. And usually I can piece together what's gone on with the other characters around them. So my third favorite fictional detective is Inspector John Rebus, the creation of Ian Rankin. Rebus is a Scottish police investigator. He's divorced. He's estranged from his daughter. He drinks too much. He breaks the rules. He doesn't always follow procedure. He oftentimes enlists the aid of actual criminals, sometimes to help him solve crimes if he can. And he has a tendency to solve crimes just through dogged determinateness. He just kind of gets a hold of something and he won't let go regardless of the cost until he brings the criminal to justice. He's a deeply flawed character, and I have a tendency to like my detectives deeply flawed. Some of my favorite Ian Rankin novels featuring John Rebus are Flesh Market Alley, which I believe in Great Britain is called Flesh Market Close, Stripjack, and then two I think that are probably on almost everybody's list of favorite Rebus novels would be The Falls and Black and Blue. The first novel featuring Inspector Rebus is Noughts and Crosses by Ian Rankin. By the way, I was inspired to do this video in part because I saw Graham Quigley over on his channel, which is now called The Archive, talk about Noughts and Crosses and John Rebus. So thank you, Graham, for the inspiration to do this video. But this is the first John Rebus novel, so if you're one of those people who likes to start at the beginning, this would be where to start. Recently, I found a new kind of favorite detective, and you've seen this on my channel as well, and that is Texas Ranger Darren Matthews. He's the creation of Attica Locke, and he appears in two of her Highway 59 mystery series so far, and there are only two, Bluebird, and Heaven of My Home, which are kind of set in the area where I grew up. Darren Matthews is an African-American Texas Ranger who is, for the most part, battling the Aryan Brotherhood in East Texas and those who ally themselves with that racist organization. He, like Rebus, is somewhat has a strained marriage. He drinks too much. He breaks the rules even more extremely than Rebus. State Trooper Matthews is actually hiding evidence, perhaps that would lead to the implication of someone he's close to in a murder mystery. He solves crimes logically, deductively, by noticing things that other people don't notice. I think Attica Locke here is taking advantage of the idea that as an African American law enforcement officer, he has a tendency to see things that maybe non-African American law enforcement officers wouldn't see. To see kind of how, to see the implication of racism from the point of view of an African-American detective. So I really like those books. In part, I think Matthews is a great creation, and in part because they're set near my home. And then my fifth favorite fictional detective is one from my childhood, and that's Encyclopedia Brown. Encyclopedia Brown is the creation of an author named Donald J. Sobel, I believe. He's a kid detective who solves crimes small and large in his local community because he just knows a lot of stuff. I thought I wanted to be Encyclopedia Brown when I was a kid, and I'm sure I went around trying to solve non-existent crimes in my neighborhood for a while. The great thing about the Encyclopedia Brown stories when I was a kid, back in the 70s, is the stories all contain clues that you could use to figure out the case for yourself. But at the end of the book, they actually had the solution where Encyclopedia Brown explained how he solved the crime, and then you could go back and actually recognize the clues and how the story was structured, and to a certain extent how a mystery story should be and usually are structured. It was incredibly instructive in terms of reading mysteries and kind of putting those ideas in your head about how to read a mystery and how to approach a mystery novel, which I thought were really, really good. Anyway, there you go. They're my top 5 favorite fictional detectives. Love to hear who your top 5 are in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you for watching.